All right.
Look
So, hi
here.
everyone. I think before we start, I just want to say hello. My name is
Yeah,
Abigail. I'm from Young Techies, and I will be your host for this new tech Tech Beyond Kenya,
yeah,
professionals,
yeah,
their insights, just impacting the next generation of techies. So today we
yeah.
have Sabrina. Hi, Sabrina.
Hello, hi. Am I the first guest for this?
Yes, you are.
Oh my
How
God.
honored we are to have you.
I'm going to show
Yeah.
off. Yeah,
Yeah. So I think we'll start with a small icebreaker
yeah,
where we'll just get to know you a bit more. So Sabrina, what
yeah.
is the boldest fake it till you make it moment that you've had in your life? Can be in your career, in life in general. What has been your biggest fake it till you make it moment?
This is a big one because there's lots of them. Well, I would
Yeah.
say applying for things I have never
Hmm.
done ever before with confidence and actually like learning on the job. Like when I see the opportunity and it's exciting and I just go for it when I've
Hmm.
never done it, like ever in my life. And actually, like I
Yeah.
learned through the process. Yeah, I think that's like always crazy. Like I know very well that I've never done this my entire life, but somehow I'm like, I could do it. I could. Yeah,
Yeah. Boldness is what gets you through.
yeah,
All right. So, Sabrina, maybe give us a little introduction of maybe who you are. If someone's watching and they don't know you as a techie, we know you're a tech entrepreneur, you're a founder, you're a
yeah,
PM, you're a lawyer, you wear so many hats. So maybe just tell
yeah.
us who you are in a nutshell. Yeah.
So I think maybe we
Um,
could also
so I
say
think maybe
that
we could also
um
say that
oh
um,
can you like I don't know now how do we
can you
mute?
like I don't know now how do
I
we
can hear an
mute?
echo. It's
I can
disturbing.
hear an echo. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I can hear my echo. It's so disturbing. Yeah, it's good now. So what can I say? Growing up when I was like a little girl, I wanted to be a lawyer, like only because that's really all we knew about like career, things like lawyer, doctor, engineer. Those are the fields that we grew up our parents, making noise about. So if you didn't want to be a lawyer, you wanted to be a doctor. If you didn't want to be a doctor, you wanted to be a teacher. Yeah, but then when I joined secondary, um, like in my senior one, that's like the first school of high school. I know we have different like systems. So in Uganda, we call it senior one, senior two. I don't know if it's the same in Kenya. So I started like doing like experimenting with my brain. I had like so many questions since when I was young, which I believe is the reason as to why I wanted to be a lawyer. Like I would question everything. I had like whys, how, what for like almost every so at my school that I didn't feel they were right. Things that I saw at my home, how my dad like acted sometimes. And I'm like, no, this is not right. It needs to be changed. So the only way to like solving problems at that age was really law because, law, justice, what. But then when I joined like senior three, I learned that I was introduced to a program called Technovation, which is a global program based in California that does challenge girls from the age of 8 to 18 to identify problems in their communities and solve them using mobile applications. So that was exciting. I participated mostly because I'm like a hands-on person, because I have like a pretty active brain and school. I liked school, but not from like a classroom point of view, from like a club's point of view, the extra curriculum, like activities. So when that program came in school, it became my hobby, like my everyday life. That's all I would do. Everyone knew me as the computer lab girl. I would miss meals. I would not read for school. I'm just so lucky that I was brilliant, even when I didn't like study and like read hard like everyone. Like I would pass, actually be like among the top people, top performers of the class. But I got so obsessed. I got so obsessed with this program, mostly because it gave me like a more direct way of solving problems. Would sit and like ideate and like identify things that were annoying us, from like the root cause to what can we do to make this better. So I can say that's pretty much where my journey started from. But unfortunately, the school I went to was the kind, where the resources are not that good for you to like offer science subjects, chemistry. So everyone who was in like that school, by default, your parents would tell you, in that school you only do arts. If you take sciences, you're going to fail them because they don't have the equipment, they don't have the teachers, they don't perform sciences very well. And our parents didn't even understand technology or the how intentional it should be for you to like choose courses, especially when you're going for like the advanced like secondary school. So I did like typical art subjects after my O level. And when I was looking for a course for university, I couldn't get one related to IT, but I became very sure at like the age of 15 that I was into tech than I was in law. Because before it was law, where I didn't have information I was using to like decide my career. But I was lucky enough, like at around 15, I knew now exactly what I want to do. But now I didn't have the combination of subjects that would give me a course. So the challenge now was, what's the next best thing you can do? So that's how I ended up doing law. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Wow, that's very extensive. So yeah, you've told us about how you got into doing law and also a bit of tech background. But I
Yeah.
want you to take me back a bit more. I did a bit of research on you, and I remember you did a talk at one of the UN summits, and you were talking about your background, saying that you lived in a slum before, you didn't come from a privileged background. Maybe talk
Yeah.
to us a bit about that. How did you coming up from that background influence how you saw opportunities, how you approached education? How did that shape you? And maybe just take us through that.
What can I say? Yeah, true. Like adversity is something I've like suffered with for like the longest, time of my life. So it's like those kinds of situations where, if, for example, I'm earning like 3K, like my age, if you're 25 and like maybe 26 and you're earning 3K, oh my god, you can get yourself a very good apartment. Like you can get for yourself anything you want, get like the kind of shoes you want, the clothes. But now for me, where I come from a place where you are the one solving the generational poverty of your ancestors, your parents, your siblings. So even if you worked on a gig, on a project that gave you 10K, it's as though it's 300K USD. So it's crazy like that. Yeah, but I think what has really like helped me a lot has been really determination and the ability to try like over and over again. So for me, I believe we don't have like a limit. I know we've been told to specialize in things. That's what school teaches us. School teaches us learn medicine, and when you learn medicine, what you have to become is a doctor. It teaches you learn computer science, and what you're going to be is a software developer or anything like that. Learn law, and what you're going to become is become a lawyer. But for me, I think in all the different industries that we have available on earth, there are so many opportunities in there that we never tap. And for me, that's what I love to do. And I started doing this at a very young age, in as much as I love, because I do love law actually. I do love aspect of it because it contributes to how good we use technology. It contributes to how well we run the businesses. So for me, I like to imagine that we don't have a limit. So knowing that at a very young age pushed me so hard to go for anything I felt I wanted to do. I remember one of my biggest moments was in my primary seven. There was a dialogue on quality education where they wanted, people to represent different districts in, Kampala, which is the central region, and as in the village. And my school was interested with that program, so they picked me. I remember working so hard, putting together a speech. So basically, we were to like kind of like debate or give like a public speech on why quality education is important for, learners in aspects of, resources, all those different things. So I put my mind to it like so hard. I didn't like allow myself to have a closed box of, oh, I have to like score A's, straight A's in class, because most people that's what they do in school, and it limits them from exploring other things which could potentially be their breakthroughs. Yeah, so that has been one of my tricks. I was always in newspapers looking for opportunities, looking for who is posting what. And if I saw like someone who had like a value in themselves that I admired, I had, for example, like neighbors who were very good at speaking English, and I wanted to learn like good English. And I made sure like I make them my friends. Like when I go back to school, I know like new words. I remember this particular one called trophy. And all I did in the holidays was to like learn new words from her so that I can use it in like my essays or so. I think it's curiosity. I was just like a curious young little girl with questions, with energy, the energy I still carry, the questions I still carry up to now, the curiosity I still carry up to now. So I would say it's pretty much that. And also being open to like learn and to be challenged by others. Yeah, I would say that also like helped a lot. Yeah, still does. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow, that's really nice and really interesting to hear that you've always been had a curiosity that always prompted you to, ask questions and not really fitting yourself into a box.
Yeah.
Which reminds me of a question that I'll ask you later about your journey in your career. But talk to us
Yeah.
about Nimurunji. I hope I'm not butchering it.
Yeah, no, it's okay.
Yeah,
Me,
no, it's
my
okay.
too.
Yes, and how you came about founding Nimurunji, passion behind, the education and making it accessible to everyone, even those in the village in Uganda. Maybe talk to us about that and how that, you got there.
Yeah, so like I said, I've had a problem. Maybe it's not a problem, it's an advantage and a benefit of questioning everything. So when I was growing up, like I like making comparisons. I started making comparisons of what if I did not do this, and like what would be the odds if I did not like do this, make this decision, do this action, where would I be right now? Every time I made those comparisons, I remember them putting me like in a much like worse place than I would have loved to be, which to me meant that sometimes it's not like we don't have the ability to become, or that we don't have the potential, or that we are not brilliant enough. Most of the times it's just because we've not like made certain decisions, we've not got some resources, some opportunities, and it's different for everyone. For some people they need a push, for example, to make a certain decision or action. And for others, now like me, all I need is the resources to like make that happen. So, and I looked at our education system, it wasn't the kind that makes that kind of analysis. all it wants to do is to just, say, oh, we have students, we are teaching, but then how? Like how? Like it just always disturbed me a lot. And how about those people who are out of school but still have the potential to become a Sabrina, to become a Fian, to become an Abigail? There are lots of them out there, and we could like help them. So I also like got to like understand it's not like for all of us, we have to go through the traditional systems of school. It could work for Abigail, but maybe a vocational training or just a text training or whatever could work for Fian, and they don't have to go through the system. And so there's just so many things really that I was asking myself. And it brought me back to the lack of data. So because we don't have data that makes like all those like different kinds of comparisons for us, the decisions we make as the government, as NGOs supporting people, as companies, as businesses, as developers, even as students, often makes us go the wrong way. So our motivation was mostly really that we understand you, we hear you, the government. We know that all of you are trying to make, education a better place. We know that whoever is trying to invest, they are really coming from like a good place. It's not like they are meaning bad. But you see, efforts without direction, it just is in vain. You can't do so much if you're just like acting with no information, no direction. So that's the gap we wanted to fill. And we wanted to show an analysis between rural students and urban students, how their performance is, how like in a more intentional way, where should the focus be? If, for example, this particular school in Kampala has 5 computers and there's a company that wants to give out 2, do we have to give those 2 to a school that already has 5? Or can we just send those 2 computers to a school that has none completely? So it was mostly from that point of view. But the emotional inspiration really was because, like, I looked at myself and just saw that if I didn't do this, get that, do this, I wouldn't be who I am. So the fact that I did this, and that, got that, that means that any other person just like me out there in luck, if they got this or did this, did that, they are able to still become who they are without necessarily having to have much. Because all through, I didn't have to go through like any good school. I didn't have to, honestly. It was mostly through doing the odd things, working, 5 times harder. I don't think it's fair that some kids should work like 10 times harder than the others, but it's the reality. Yeah, and it's very sad that they don't know that. So so sometimes that kind of like education, the realization. So it was really mostly that. Yeah.
Wow, I'm hearing a lot of empathy in the way you speak. It's like you feel you know and you feel the struggle, which is a beautiful to hear.
Yeah.
So Sabrina, something else that I'd like you to maybe touch on is your journey through Technovation. You've mentioned
Yeah.
it a bit. Yeah. How did Technovation come through? I mean, even talk about Technovation on its own. What is Technovation for someone who doesn't know what Technovation is? How did it play as a key player for you in your journey in your career today?
Yeah.
Because you joined as a student, I think, recently, last year, 2024, and then now you're an ambassador. So how did you get there, to a place now where you're speaking at forums on behalf of Technovation? Maybe take us through that.
All right. So again, I think maybe sometimes it's true that people are lucky. So this little girl here is in a certain like village school in Kabale district. It's like 8 hours away from the city. So we had like an old girl, OGs and OBs. I don't know if you say the same thing in Kenya, but she's called Charity, Chomjisha Charity. So she studied from my school. maybe like 20 years before I was at my school. So she was here in Kampala, thriving, doing amazing things, and happened to be invited to be a judge for this program called Technovation in Kampala. So when she attended as a judge, she loved everything. She was like, oh my God, this is so cool. The kids are innovating and they are still young. I want to send this program back to my school where I studied from. So that's how we got the opportunity. So she wrote to my school. She had not interacted to my school for like maybe 20 years. So she reached out, and my school was so happy to like receive her, and she said she was going to be sponsoring 3 students every year to come to Kampala and watch the program, the competitions, and be inspired, things like that. So when, of course, they said it's a STEM program, they chose only the science, students, people who are offering sciences and at A level. By then, I was in O level, the lower secondary school. So when they chose them, remember me and my curiosity. I wanted to know what this program is about because it looked so enticing. All we saw was just like a poster where girls, because it's a program for only girls, where they had like robots, wires, they were connecting things. It was like in a newspaper. And I was like, I really want to be part of this. But every time those girls went, whenever they would come back, all they would tell us is the hotels they slept in, the food they ate, the people they met, nothing about the program and what it was. So me with my big head, I go to my head teacher and I'm like, I don't think these people who are going are like teaching us anything, because the idea was that the people selected to go, when they come back, they share with us. And then maybe the next time we go and compete. But no one told us anything. No one like knew. They were like, we don't understand it, but we are having fun. And I'm like, no, we have to maximize this opportunity. So I went to talk to my head teacher, and just like that, the metrics of how they select who to go changed. They chose me to go that very year. The program had happened for like 2 years, and we were not getting any results. People were just watching. And that year they chose me as like, aha, let me go. Me, I come back and start the club here. So I went. When I went, I found Gayaza, Nabisunsa. These are like the big schools in like Kampala. So I was so inspired. Like we learned so much. We did so many robotics challenges, so many app development demos. Then the kids did pitching, and it didn't feel so hard for me. I was like, hey, these things I can do. I just need a small time. So when we went back home, the goal was for then I started like instead of just going to attend. And indeed, I formed the club at my school, put together a team of like 30 girls, but we did not know anything about technology. I didn't even know how to hold a mouse. Can you imagine? I would hold it like the other way around. Like I did not know how to click. I did not know how to connect the internet, but I was here, but I wanted to learn. So things started getting hard. So I remember our first idea was not even tech. We thought of decomposing simanya, some rubbish. So we created like a whole would decompose things, took videos of that. And then when we clicked the link for applications, it was a link asking for like APKs. I don't know what an APK is. So we couldn't submit our videos. So that year we didn't do much. And the next year I was like, we have to try again. So this time I learned, fortunately, about YouTube. I learned that there's a platform called YouTube, and that somehow, if you go on YouTube and search how to do this, you get results. So I got a partnership with a nearby university for my school. Imagine I'm doing all this in the green. No one is guiding me, just trying to like figure out things. And we started going for the to that university to access internet and computers, and we started using tutorials, started like checking the emails because they would send us like emails every day with like, materials. We started trying to like experiment how to use the materials. And then one day I check my email and I find that they were recruiting student ambassadors for the program. So the people who just joined the program is a global, program. It's like a tech education program, the biggest actually globally for girls. So what they do is that they challenge girls to identify problems around the sustainable development goals, and you solve them using mobile apps. And recently they added AI projects because artificial intelligence is now here. So now the girls are developing with AI. So I registered, I applied to be the student ambassador for Technovation. And I think for me, that was my breakthrough. I promise you, that was my breakthrough. So when I applied for that student ambassador, so the student ambassador basically has three roles. One is to recruit girls around, the country or the school or the region, wherever her reach is. And after recruiting them, you mentor them and you inspire them and just make sure they are supported. So I applied to be a mentor. Me, myself, I needed a mentor. So, and here I was applying to be a peer mentor. So I do apply and I like went through. And once I applied, now they started connecting me to, so getting that role now helped the global company started connecting me with the experts in Uganda who run the program. So they connected me to the companies which were running the program, the educators, they attached me to mentors. So now I started having support for the teams I was working with. So I would get the trainings from the mentors and then I come back and train my people. So yeah, before I knew it, in just like a year, we won our very first challenge here in Uganda. So yes, so we had to like work so hard in holidays with interest. And I was selected as the best student ambassador globally. So after they choose like the one who is like breaking the records, doing amazing. So I was selected as the best globally. Before I knew it, I had an invite because I'm the best student ambassador. So that means I have to go and attend the world pitch. So we do like national pitches, and after national pitches, it's like over 20,000 like girls all over the world applying. And at the end of the day, they choose only like 12 people, 12 teams rather. Teams are formed of 3 to 5 girls. And these 12 teams are in junior division, senior division, and they go to California in San Francisco to pitch their ideas. So I went. When I went, they covered everything. It was even very easy for me to get a visa. Just know everything was, I think God just sat and is like, this girl, I have to reward her. Everything was so easy. I got the interview dates, like everything was just so easy. And when I reached, we were visiting all the biggest like tech companies you can think of. I'm talking of Google, I'm taking of Tesla, Microsoft, Facebook. There's nowhere I didn't go. And the kind of like visitation, not just like you're having a tour, but the kind of you being attached to like the CEOs, the founding like members, the board members, the top like technologists at those companies. So they would attach us to like one of them, and for the whole day you are with that like specific employee of that tech company. You go on their desk, ask as much questions as you want, use their badge to go for their meals. At like we went to Adobe, and robots were bringing food for us at their lunch cafeteria place. So it was so exciting. The only thing I regret is that I got that opportunity to visit all those tech companies when I was still a bit of like an amateur, because I was not yet that good like with tech and everything. So I probably didn't ask the right questions. So if I got the opportunity like right now to go again, I would ask the right questions because I'm now into the field practically. I would want to know how they make money because that's the hardest thing I'm like trying to track. You see, like, yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah, so through that, me being like an excellent contributor to Technovation like oftenly invites me to represent it at, different like talk shows, different. That's how I got the United Nations opportunity. They look into like their database of influencers. Rather, sorry, I work with a program that has influencers. Now I'm. They look into the database of their alumni, and somehow they always say Sabrina. Yeah, Sabrina should be the one to represent us because even last year I represented them in Ethiopia at the African Union. So you can imagine, I first went to the United Nations, and after the United Nations, I went to the African Union. Yeah, so it's been like that, really, pretty much. Yeah, but then also they like call me constantly to support them on like different projects. How can they do better? There are different processes. How can they impact like more women? Yeah, so I think they want like so many Sabrinas in the program, and I'm so happy that I have to like help not just from like Uganda, but global. Yeah.
Wow, Sabrina, those are big names. But
Yeah.
I'm curious also maybe thinking about someone who's watching you and hearing you mention that you went to Google, you went to Adobe,
Yeah.
you're still consulting for Technovation.
Yeah.
How can they, get themselves to position themselves in a way that, such opportunities favor them? Because maybe they've been trying to get into the spaces where, you're even just through the door and it's really hard. What would you advise someone who's trying to, maybe follow in your footsteps? Um,
Yeah.
how would you advise them? What do you start? What do you need to do? How can you make yourself
Yeah.
stand out in the crowd?
So I actually get that a lot, that the muting. Sorry. So I get that a lot, and half of the time I don't really have like a direct answer. I don't think there's like a handbook that has the rules of like A, B, C, D. No, I don't think there's something like that. Because some of these things have actually like found me so unaware. Like actually all of them, I never planned them. But if I go back to like look, I think we should live our everyday like right now, like we are preparing it for tomorrow or the next like big thing to like come our way. So it's more of like attraction. Like we have to like attract all these things towards us. I think it becomes harder if you have to like go looking, go like asking, but if you attract them to come your way, it becomes easy. And how do you do that? For me, my strategy is working backwards. I always want to like, first of all, be clear about who I want to work with, the kind of work that excites me, the kind of environment I want to be in, and I start working backwards. So I don't have to like wait until when I want it for me to like give it my all. So the moment I have it very clear that this is the direction I want, which usually is the hardest for people. But me, I'm lucky, like I understood from like way long what excites me, what I want to do, like it has changed, and I'm not saying it has to be one thing. It doesn't have to be one thing. For me, all I understood is that I want to like impact change. And how do I want to do it? I want to do it with technology entrepreneurship. I want to do it with skilling, capacity building. And you can do that from like different like fields. Because last year I was working with the gig economy as a products manager, like full-time community management. And this year I'm doing a digital strategy more from like a commercial perspective for a different company, completely different from the industry I was working in. So it doesn't have to be like the role, but mostly like the dynamics of like work that excites you. And then you surround yourself around those people. Now, me, I know I will never leave a room that has innovators. I will never leave a room that has entrepreneurs, community builders. Like that's where my heart is. That's where my, that's where I want to be. So just work backwards, and you can never know if, for example, there's some them, ask all the right questions, show them that you're interested in the work they do, so that when they go back and they have an opening, they can remember you and they're like, oh, I met this person and they really sounded so interested in the work I do. And even without them like putting out a call to the general public, they first reach out to you and they're like, would you be interested in this? And you're the one to say no. So yeah, so let's just be like very authentic, share the things we love, because there's no way like anyone is going to like know and give you the opportunity when it comes, because each and every day opportunities are there like all the time for grabbing. But if you've not shared yourself, not shared the things you love, the things you are good at, when those opportunities come, you won't be the first person someone is thinking about. So for me, I always want to be the first name that comes to someone's lip if they are looking for someone to put on a table of opportunities. Yeah, so that's how it has worked for me. But also, I volunteered like a lot with these companies. And I think the company, if we have, for example, listeners who are still at uni and you want a very easy, smooth transition from school to work, the company that you volunteer with, if you do it wholeheartedly, give it your best, most probably they are going to be your first employers. And it won't be so hard. Like my first job, they said they were waiting for me until I finished exams. And they were paying well, competent salary. But because they had already seen the work I was doing when I was volunteering with them while at school. So we just have to be strategic, live every day like it's the last day. Yeah.
I like that, Sabrina. You've mentioned something to do with asking the right questions.
Yeah.
And just out of curiosity, given that if you meet someone today, someone who is influential in the tech space that maybe you're looking to get into or to even progress in, um, how can you give like a template or maybe just to give an understanding? Because when people say, just ask the right questions, just ask the right questions, it sounds very vague. How
Yeah.
would you, what would you say are the right questions for someone who's also trying to get into, the tech space, or, you
Mhm.
found someone and they're influential and you want to, shoot your shot. What is something that
Yeah.
you need to think about, quickly and that you can tell them as, the right questions?
So I think this is like so hard to like respond to because it's very, very, for example, someone has said, oh, you work here, I also do this, this, and that. Instead of you just saying, oh, you do? That's nice. And then you like move on, ask like for more, and like just keep asking for more to see like where it does what it goes. Because through asking like for more, you get an opportunity to also say what you do. Sorry. But for me, usually I want to know the why. I want to know why someone is doing what, because it's very important. Because the truth is that the work we do right now, it's not special. It's work everyone is doing. The industry is the same. It's not special. But usually our why and how is usually what's different. So I always want to know your why and how. If you're saying, for example, that you do product, management. I'm going to use Fian. So when I met her, what I wanted to know is her how, like, what's your process? What's your structure? Because if they're even looking for someone to like work with, what they're going to like look out for, because that's what aligns with them. But otherwise everyone is trying to change the world in whichever field they are in. Everyone is impacting change. Everyone is in fintech, everyone is in agri-tech, everyone is in edutech. But the whys and the hows And then when you like master that, the next time maybe you are trying to like get your way into working with them or being invited, or even when you understand that through that conversation, you know where to start from, you know how to approach them, you know how to prep yourself to like work with them, things like that. Yeah.
I like that you touched on product management, which is where we're going into next. So Sabrina, you're head of product at Next Media.
Yeah.
You've also done law, you're a founder, there's so many hats that you wear. And
Yeah.
I just want to understand how did you get to move? Did you ever get to practice law? And if you did you transition into the product space, for someone watching, maybe they're trying to get into product, how did they do it? What are some of the insights that you can give to them just to make it a bit smoother, and also what they need to look out for in the field of product management?
Well, I just did law in school. I actually finished school like last year. But like I said, it was mostly because I was not offered any other course that relates to computer and everything. That's why I did law. But one thing I was doing to like console myself that I didn't study for like 6 or 7 years for nothing was the thing about law is that it can be merged with everyday life. I was in love with intellectual property because last year I was working with so many software engineers, freelancers, things like that. So, how do they understand intellectual property to protect the work they do? And right now, I work with a media house. There's so much of like copywriting and like everything to appreciate. So I believe that I will use my law, but from a tech entrepreneurship angle. Actually, last year I worked on a system which I call I've forgotten the name, but it's a Kenyan name, Ulinda. It's protect. How do you say protect in Kenya? I love Swahili, so I just get someone
Kulinda,
to eh?
kulinda,
Exactly.
kulinda.
So I yeah, yeah. So the system I call it Ulinda. So the idea is I'm still developing it. I have a prototype ready. So the idea is that we have like so many consumers on the internet, and we don't have protection for that. If, for example, like fraud happens in like online, marketing and whatnot and e-commerce, where do people report their complaints? How do people verify goods? How do people make sure they are not being scammed and whatnot? So this platform is supposed to like fix those gaps. So like I said, as a tech entrepreneur, I'll just only be creating products around the intersection of law and technology. So I'm excited for the product. Maybe I will sell it because I don't think I will manage to have the time to like work on it and like be on it all the time. But I'm really, really exciting. I'm working with a very powerful team to put it together. We pitched it to our first investor just in November. So hopefully it gets somewhere. And then the next time we come, I'm telling you, oh, I have an innovation in law and technology. Yeah, but yes. So for me, really, I've studied law really in class, but I've always been like a tech girl since from childhood, like I've said, with technovation. So for me, not a transition from law to technology. It's more of a transition from law to technology. No, it's a transition from technology to law and then technology again. Yeah, but then also, but for technology has always been there because even at school, I founded Nimaronji for starters while I was at school doing my bachelor's in laws. And I was doing all the tech boot camps, all the tech competitions, meeting all the investors. So the tech part never stopped at all since growing up. Then for product management, I learned that I didn't have the patience to like okay, not even the patience. I learned that my superpower was somewhere else. And I settled with that, took the piece. My superpower is on strategy. My superpower is on understanding products. My superpower is on, making sure they get into the market, making sure they are being relatable to the users, the end users who are going to like use these products. That's where my superpower is. So I don't want really to force myself on the other side, the behind the curtain side of the developers. And then I die from there. No. Yeah. So that's pretty much how it was so easy because it's something I always knew. So it wasn't like so hard for me to like say, okay, what I want to do is focus on product marketing, product commercialization, product, development from like a front end. Yeah. So it was not hard.
Okay, so Sabrina, looking back on your journey through tech, through law, and everything in between, what would you say has been your biggest lesson um, through it all? What have you learned that you can say, wow, this is, as a tech leader, as a founder, this is the biggest thing that I've had to learn?
Mm, hmm. Let me see. I think pivoting, like, okay, let me not call it pivoting, but because pivoting is like changing. I don't know what phrase to give it because most people use pivoting as just, I think pivoting is like change of a career. So for me, I think what I have learned the most is maybe it's adaptation. What's the real word? My English is not that best. um like if a change happens, like how quickly do you like adjust? Is it adaptation or resilience? Yeah, so one of the
Yeah,
two.
so one of
So
the
yeah, so it's one thing I have really like got to appreciate in the industry, to try out many things. Cause I'm just 20. Oh my God, I've remembered I can't say my age. It has reached that stage where we don't say it. I was going to say my age, but yeah, I'm still young. I think that's better. So I'm still young, really. And can you hear me, Abigail? You look frozen from my end. Abigail, are you there? How do I tell if I'm being heard? Anyone in the live chat? Abigail? I don't know if it's me off or if it's Abigail. Oh, okay. Perfect. That helps. Help is helpful. All right. Thank you. So let me just continue, I guess. I've even forgotten what the question was. But it should not break you to like make a change. Maybe you thought you were going to be, maybe you thought you were going to be let me see, like an engineer, and then something happens along the way, and you can't be an engineer and you have to be something else. It should be okay. Me, I believe that we are meant to like thrive no matter where we are, no matter what